in terms of Herter, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a 65th percentile offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
His greatest strengths are his shot diet. So basically, like how he generates offense in terms of like the shot selection. He shoots a lot of threes, which is good. The the fact that he has a lot of creation, portability. He fits into a lot of different lineups, so that gives you a lot of. So he can be an off-ball spacer, he can be off-the-ball shooter. There's a lot of different ways that he can play. So at a 65th percentile crafted offensive plus minus, he's a solidly above average player at the age of 24. And in terms of defense, the only thing that really holds him back per the analytics is his rim defense because he's not overly athletic or long. So his rim defense, again, this is something that a lot of
What's his perimeter
guards.
defense like?
His perimeter defense is solid, like 62nd percentile on deflections, 61st percentile on defensive rebounds, and that's league wide. So that's a very above average rebounder for a guard. If you're playing him as a guard and as a forward, he's the really the only
So
issue
are
with
you
him right
starting
now.
Kevin Huerter over Malik Monk?
I think it's a competition. I think you could sell yourself on either, and maybe some internal competition isn't the worst thing. I don't think one of them is necessarily drastically better than the other. And you get two guys who sort of fit. Look, like I think between Keegan and Herter and Malik Monk, you have three pieces that win basketball games.
They shoot the ball
Okay.
well, which is what you need around Fox and Sabonis.
Number one, they shoot the ball well. Number two, they're smart players. All of them are smart players. Keegan Murray is an extremely smart player. Herter is a really smart player. And I'm not just saying that because he's a white guy who went in the lottery. He is actually really, really smart. He is actually a really smart player. And if you actually watch him play, you can tell that he's extremely well coached. And, if the analytics don't love him on defense, it's largely just because he doesn't provide anything at the rim. He doesn't provide any shot blocking or anything like that. And that's sort of why the analytics love Jalen Suggs, because he's a shot blocker. You see what I mean? So the analytics can sometimes skew towards a guy who has a particular defensive role, but it's not like the Atlanta Hawks were funneling guys towards Kevin Huerter to block shots when they had Onyeka and Kongwu and Clint Capella in there. I mean, they have a team that funnels guards. So his role was different. I mean, maybe with the Sacramento Kings, you'll see better at rim defense from him. I see the upside. I buy the upside. If the Raptors had traded for him to shore up their bench, which is something that I would have been all over, I would have been very happy. I think he's a good player.
Who do you think's a better
do.
player, Kevin Huerter or Gary Trent Jr.?
I like Kevin Huerter Jr., even though I know that Gary Trent Jr. is a better player. Yeah, I like him more because of his unselfishness, because of his portability, because he's not a chucker, because everything I hate about Gary Trent Jr. is what I love about Kevin Huerter. So I like Kevin Huerter more, but I know Gary Trent Jr. is a better player. He's a better defender, and he's definitely a better creator offensively. Like, he's not a creator for others, but in terms of isolation scoring, which is probably one of the most sought after skills, it's really why Kevin Durant is worth what he's worth. Okay, Kevin Durant right now, isolation scoring is his bread and butter. Gary Trent Jr. is not he's not like the most efficient isolation scorer in the NBA, but he was by far the most efficient isolation scorer on the Raptors last year, and he can get a shot off anytime he wants. And he's 23 years old. He's a year younger. He really picked it up defensively. Yeah, I don't like Gary Trent Jr. because I don't like his brand of basketball, but I think he's a better player.
By a lot or by like a smidge? You love Kevin Huerter. I mean, I'm just excited that you actually like him. Like, that's pretty dope because you like him more than I do.
I don't love him. I love the fit. I love the fit.
Yeah, I mean the fit's good.
You have a ball dominant. Like there was a draft day analyst who probably should probably jump off a bridge. Who at one point said that Kevin Huerter teaming up with Trae Young, oh my God, Atlanta's got their Steph and Clay, right? Now, that draft analyst, by the way, has been clowned forever for that. But you know what? The comparisons to Klay Thompson were not ridiculous. Obviously, they're ridiculous in the sense of comparing him, but the player type, his style of basketball,
6'7",
the type of shots,
Yeah, shot, like very
Exactly.
similar. Like,
He moves. He moves with the
yeah.
basketball. He passes. He doesn't chuck up stupid shots. He's like one dribble pull up guy. Like I just like his efficient brand of offense, and I understand why Atlanta would move on from him because they have a glut of wings and they have a backcourt starter and Dejounte Murray now. But I like him as a complementary piece. There are certain guys like Otto Porter Jr. that the Raptors just signed today, where you're like, that guy, every time he's on the court, is going to make everyone else better. He has gravity. He moves. He makes smart passes. He makes good deflections. Otto Porter just does all the small things that make you help you win basketball games. Kevin Huerter is not Otto Porter Jr. in terms of impact offensively or defensively. I think Otto Porter Jr. is like a 90th percentile defender and like a 73rd percentile offensive player. So he's like leaps and bounds. But he's 24 years old. He could grow. He's ideal. If he was a slightly better defender, he would be the ideal fit next to De'Aaron Fox. Maybe you can coach him up defensively. There's a lot of players out there who just haven't played great defense. Maybe not playing next to a pylon like Trae Young. If everyone on that Kings can get better, maybe this is a guy who can help you. I don't know.
No, he's gonna help. And just to clarify, people, it's like, and I went on Twitter, and at first I was just upset because of, not because I think that pick will be better than Kevin. I think Kevin's a fine player. It's just they just kind of removed themselves from adding a third level all-star type player like a Sabonis, like a Fox, because now you can't give up that pick, right, in 2024, because it's protected, and there's a bunch of, obviously you can renounce it and just say, here's my pick, whatever. But it makes things a lot more complicated because of the step-in rule and because of all these CBA stuff. That's why I was upset. Not because they got Kevin. I mean, they needed shooting and they needed defense. They addressed both those things by adding close to 40% shooters next to Fox's bonus. So I love that. But they still need defense. Can they trade for Thibault? I would love that. Can they, sign a low deal on a Josh Okogie, who is great defensively but just can't shoot to save his life? Can he teach someone how to shoot? Maybe. I would go after Martin Twin. I don't think they would take the biannual exception because that's all they have, and like about $1 million left for the MLE. So, can you get a Martin Twin? That would complete my offseason. I don't know if they take a deal to come to the Kings, and I'm just being realistic.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe if this whole experiment doesn't work out, you still have assets, right? Now you have assets. Like Kevin Huerter is an asset. Keegan Murray is an asset. Domantas Sabonis is an asset. You're not and they're not depreciating assets. They're all like actually really reasonably priced assets. Like for Kevin Huerter, like this is a guy who can come in on any contender and be like the first or second guard off the bench. And I think there's a lot of contenders that would see the value in that. So the pick that you gave up, if this doesn't work out, you get that back, no problem. No problem.